The saga continues, and I have a new grinder, a flat disc, and a grinding wheel. So what I keep doing is placing this chunk, finding out where it's touching, seeing how much needs to come off of it, and then cutting little slivers at a time off until I get it just right. Right now I'm going to do this cut. As you can see, it's just a small sliver. And then I'm going to just keep repeating that process until it fits correctly. I have placed this thing in and out about 5 or 6 times. I'm getting really close. I noticed that the bottom of this is hitting before it gets to the top, so I'm going to cut this line. What I just discovered is I need to take a little more off of right here. At this point, I've manhandled and wrestled this thing enough that it is really close. The rest of this job will just be ever so slight adjustments now. So a little bit of a sense of accomplishment for tonight. I'm out here several days later. The weather has been really intense. 100 degrees, really muggy and hot. So I've had to force myself to come out here and work on this thing, but here I am finally, and I hope to get something done today. In my initial test fitting, I noticed that this has got to go in behind here. That's 2-ply right there, so I'm going to retain the white part and cut the back side of this off, probably a couple of spot welds. All right, with that inner piece gone, I'm going to try test fit. If it fits correctly, I can go ahead and sand off all this paint all the way around the entire chunk, both on the target and the subject. And one important order of business before I continue on. This thing's a nightmare to get lined up. I'm working on so many different axes and lines that are cut different ways. But it's basically in place. I think I'm okay to start getting ready for the welding. This is a wide gap, but I hope to, once I'm doing the final alignment, bring that together a bit, or else it's going to be tough to weld. That's the danger of doing this in one big chunk instead of tearing it apart and doing it in sections, which probably would have took even longer. The chunk is cleaned up around every cut, inside and out, all the way around. For example, I'm going to spray this part because it's going to be hidden, inaccessible. This is a part where there will be some spot welds, so I make sure to use weld through primer. All right, the chunk has been cleaned up around the edges. Now the van has been cleaned up around every edge. Inside and out. Both sides, because I don't want, as I'm welding, a bunch of smoke and burning paint. I got this up into place and I'm feeling pretty good about it. I beat on it a minute and I was able to get that cap closed up right there pretty well. Now a lot of this stuff here like this, it looks like it's off a bit, but it's flexible. Also this looks like it's off quite a bit, but it is flexible. Down through here, we've got pretty good contact. I think what I'm gonna do is weld up a few tack welds in the most important spots and then try to flex the rest into place. I believe there are going to be some places that I cut too short. Inevitably, that's going to happen with a piece this complex. That's just going to require some little patches, handmade. I put my welder on heat C, which is something I almost never do. And I started welding this frame up. Not beautiful, but it's working and it's holding on its own already. There's going to be a lot of flexing and finessing this thing to get it lined up, but little pint-sized bits at a time and we'll be there. I'm curious to see if this will work to push this up and close this gap. There was a little bit of a kink right here and I straightened it out. So this should be able to slide up into the area. That actually worked pretty good. That's not too shabby. So now another important part with thick steel is right up through there, right through the center. So I'm going to do that and be done for tonight. Got this spot of the frame on both sides because it was so thick. Took care of this. My welding is getting a little better as I go, especially on the thicker metal. come around. We got this spot, and we got, like I said, this part of the frame, both sides. And we've got the front of this. We have yet to get the entire thing, but we've still got a long way to go here. This will be the last full video on the chunk. So I hope you've enjoyed the last 3 videos putting this thing together. The next video, I don't know if I'm gonna mess with the brakes, they're stuck, the hubs, or just move on to something else. What do you think? Put it in the comments. What do you think I should move on to next? I'm gonna continue to weld this up and grind the spots down. Use a little bit of fiberglass filler over the welds and just completely button it up. I'll show you the finished product at some point. So I'm hoping in a week or 2 I can have another video of the van, the restoration progress on it. Until then, subscribe, like, drop a comment.